Time now for Fantasy Football Today for CBS Local Sports. I'm Jamie Eisenberg. That's Dave Richard. We have the starts and sits you need to help you dominate your fantasy leagues in week number 8. Let's get right to it with the start quarterbacks. And the start of the week is Carson Wentz. Love the setup for him going against that Dallas defense. He's going to light them up, hopefully getting his third straight game with 30 or more fantasy points. Huge game coming for Carson Wentz as he's turned around that slow start. From the start quarterbacks, we go to the sit quarterbacks. And Dave, you're going away from Drew Brees, Cam Newton, and Jared Goff. Is it just easy to sit Drew Brees even if Michael Thomas does play?
Even if Michael Thomas does play, I believe in the Chicago defense. First of all, they've been good against the pass. Second of all, I think they bounced back after a rough go on Monday against the Rams. And Brees on the road has never been a sure thing. And if the weather doesn't cooperate in Chicago, Brees' downfield throws, he doesn't have many of them, they could be effective.
All right, from the quarterbacks, we go to the running backs. Dave's 3 running backs that he tells you to start. Boston Scott starting for the injured Miles Sanders, Ronald Jones, and LeVeon Bell. So we got the revenge game. LeVeon against his old team, the Jets. Is he going to dominate that matchup, or is it going to be a little bit more of Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
I think it's going to be a split between the two. In fact, they nearly split playing time through the first 3 quarters last week, and they had an even amount of carries through the first 3 quarters last week. That's a little shocking, especially if you've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire on your fantasy team. But the Jets allow over 120 rush yards per game, 9 touchdowns to running backs through the first 7 weeks. Plenty of meat on the bone for Edwards-Helaire and Le'Veon.
Yes, revenge, revenge, revenge. We love it. Andy Reid, give Le'Veon Bell a chance to score. To sit running backs we go now, and David Montgomery has been good, just hasn't been great, but I think he's going to struggle against the Saints. His starting center most likely out. Could be down Allen Robinson, the #1 receiver for the Bears, and the Saints' run defense has turned the corner lately, but Montgomery just does not find the end zone. Only 2 touchdowns on the season, 1 on the ground. The running numbers have been pedestrian. The catches have been nice since Tariq Cohen has gone down with the ACL tear, but I just don't want to trust David Montgomery. I really just don't want to trust any of the Bears this week against the Saints, even though they're at home. Weather could help David Montgomery, but I'm trying to avoid him. Let's go now to the start wide receivers, and Brandon Aiyuk gets a dream matchup against the Seahawks. No Deebo Samuel, he's out with the hamstring injury. The Seahawks allow the most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers, and it just helps that Aiyuk's coming off his best game ever as a pro. He's a rookie, so every game that he does better than the next is going to be his best game. But I like the setup for Aiyuk against Seahawks. I think he's got top 20 upside this week. The sit wide receivers. Oh boy, here we go. Look at these names. Juju Smith-Schuster, Amari Cooper, Jarvis Landry. Dave, Amari Cooper's been surviving despite the quarterback play for the Cowboys, but you don't like him this week against the Eagles.
I really don't. I think Philadelphia can shut him down, maybe with just Darius Slay trailing him all game long. Ben DiNucci, if he is under center for Dallas, that's a problem. And even if it's Andy Dalton, it's a problem for Amari Cooper. He's tolerable in full PPR, but I can't count on him to get 100 yards or a touchdown against an improving Philadelphia defense.
I'm with you on trying to stay away from Cooper, better as a #3 receiver than a #2 option. All right, Dave, so we got TJ Hockenson, Richard Rodgers, and Noah Fant as starting tight ends. Noah Fant has been a little disappointing, but the targets have been there for him. You think this is a breakout game coming against the Chargers?
It started to look that way late last week against Kansas City. It looked like Drew Lock was getting back in rhythm with Noah Fant. I think he's their best downfield option because Jerry Jeudy just hasn't come into play. And the Chargers secondary, great on the outside. They struggle a little bit in the middle of the field, and that's where Noah Fant shines.
Yep, keep those targets coming for Noah Fant. The sit tight ends, maybe the target should not be going to Evan Engram. Terrible play at the end of the game last week in the loss to the Eagles. Had a drop, also had a drop that led to an interception for Daniel Jones. It's been tough to trust Evan Engram. Better in PPR than non-PPR, but still looking for his first touchdown on the season. And that Bucs defense is going to make things tough on the entire Giants offense. I would try and sit Evan Engram. Check out our Fantasy Football Today podcast for more of the best fantasy football information you can find. Good luck setting your lineups in Week 8. For Dave Richard, I'm Jamie Eisenberg. This has been Fantasy Football Today for CBS Local Sports.